let us continue where we had left the last day of the third level. Last day we completed up to page number 3. Yes, good afternoon everyone. Up to page number 3, and here we saw that Charlie had reached to a place. According to him, this is a third level, and he found the difference. He found that sound is not clear. It should be clear. I don't know why it is. Okay. Hello. Hello. Is it clear? Hello. It should be. It should be. Okay. Now, actually, he reached to a place where he saw that the rooms were smaller and the rooms were made of wood, and he was very much surprised to find that where he had come. According to him, this was the third level. According to him, this was the third level of Grand Central Railway Station, and he had come there from the second level. Now, afterwards, what happened? I'm reading from page number 4. There were grass pittons on the floor, and across the station, a glint of light caught my eye. A man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket. Now, he was discussing that there was brass spittons. Spitton means a pot where people used to use these for keeping that saliva, especially after chewing betel saliva. And across the station, a glint of light. A glint means sparkle. Across the station, it was a station. It was a railway platform. And here he could see that a sparkle of light caught my eye. He could see a sparkle of light, and a man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket. Earlier you may have heard that people actually use that watch. They in a wristwatch. They used to keep it in their pocket, and whenever it requires, they used to take it out from the pocket and see the time. So he saw that a man did the same. He snapped open the cover, glanced at his watch, and frowned. He saw the time. He saw the time and frowned. Frowned means what is frown? Frown means corrugated eyebrows. When you are having corrugated means wavy surface. Corrugated eyebrows means as if seeing the watch, the man was not so much satisfied or disgusted. The man was disgusted. He wore a derby hat, a black 4-button suit with tiny lapels, and he had a big black handlebar mustache. Now, this was the expression that Charlie was telling, that he wore a derby hat. What is derby hat? A derby hat means a hat without a brim. A derby hat, a black 4-button suit with tiny lapels. Lapel means collar, and he had a big black handlebar mustache. So this was the description of the man who had taken his watch from his vest pocket. All these, his action of taking out the watch from vest pocket and his dress suggest that the man belongs to old time, because suit with lapels and handlebar mustaches, this type of things people used to have in the older days. Then I looked around and saw that everyone in the station was dressed like 18, 19 something, and he was surprised. He saw that everyone in the station, they were dressed, and as if they were dressing like 18th century, 19th century. Don't forget the time when Charlie was there, it was 1950, in the 20th century. But as he had gone to that third level, he could see that people were dressing as if they were dressing just like 18th, 19th century. I never saw so many beards, sideburns, and fancy moustaches in my life. And Charlie admitted that I never saw so many beards. Most of the people, most of the men is having beards and sideburns. What is sideburn? This is sideburns. This is sideburns. Okay, sideburns and fancy moustaches in my life. Charlie was surprised. Mostly in the modern days, people like to have clean shaven face, but earlier people used to have beards. Here also in today's days also people is having beard, but it was more in earlier days. In early days you cannot find a people without a moustache. So here Charlie told that people are having lots of moustaches. A woman walked in through the 10th grade. She wore a dress with leg up mutton sleeves and skirts to the top of her high button shoes. This was the description of the women. And then Charlie saw a woman who just entered into that station, and the woman was wearing a dress that is known as leg up mutton sleeves. Leg up mutton sleeves mean a dress, actually an older dress. It means that a woman was wearing this dress where in a thigh part, means above the knee, this dress is very floppy, and towards the heel and down the knee it's very shoes. This is known as leg up mutton sleeves. Leg up mutton sleeves. No, leg up mutton sleeves. That the woman was wearing these leg up mutton sleeves, means this is very floppy over the knee, and under the knee it is shoes. And skirts to the top of a high button shoes. He was wearing a high button shoes. So these are all denotes that he had come to a time where people or everything, not only the people, everything was looking like old. Back of her, out on the track, I caught a glimpse of a locomotive, a very small Courier and Abe's locomotive with a funnel-shaped stack. A stack means chimney. And back of that woman on the track means on the rail line. Actually, Charlie could see a locomotive engine, railway engine over there, locomotive engine over there, and the engine was made up from Courier and Abe's locomotive. Underline this, question may come that the engine, locomotive engine that Charlie could see belongs to which company? That Courier and Abe's locomotive with a funnel shaped stack. Stack means chimney. The locomotive had a chimney. So it means that these are all of older days. And then I knew. What had he known? Then I knew means he was confirmed that he had come to a time which is much older from the present time he belonged. To make sure, I walked over to a newsboy and glanced at the stack of papers at his feet. To make sure, he wanted to be sure that in which time or what time I had come in, because everything, starting from dress, starting from the room, starting from gesture, people, moustaches, beards, everything, sideburns, everything. He had lots of curiosity in his mind, lots of confusion, and to be sure that where actually in which time he had come, he went to a newsboy, a boy who was selling a newspaper. It was the World, and he saw a newspaper was there, the World, and the World hasn't been published for years. He saw a newsboy was selling newspaper, the World, and the World hasn't been published for years, and he knew that this paper had stopped to be published for years. The late story said something about President Cleveland. Now let me tell you, President Cleveland was the US president for 2 terms. President Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th US president. For the first time, he became president in the year 1885, and his term was up to 1889. Cleveland, he was the president of 1885 to 1889, and next again in 1893 to 1897. So in these 2 terms, President Cleveland was the US president, and he could see the newspaper in that World. There was a lead story, the headline was about President Cleveland. I have found that front page scenes in the public library files, and it was printed June 11, 1894. He told that he had seen this in the public library, this front page, and now he could see the phone here being sold by the boy, and mark the date. He could see the date. It is June 11, 1894. Don't forget, he belonged to the time of 1950. And here, in that place, in the third label, according to him, that where a newspaper is being sold, and the date printed on the newspaper, it was 11 June 1894. So practically, he had come 56 years back, 56, 57 years back. I turned, now he was confirmed that I have come, as if just like he had a time trouble, and he just in the time machine, he came to the past days, older days. I turned towards the ticket windows, knowing that here on the third level at Grand Central, I could buy tickets that would take Louisa and me anywhere in the United States we wanted to go. Now he made a plan that as I had come to that place in the year 1894, so it would give me an opportunity to buy 2 tickets and to go anywhere in the United States, older days of the United States, in the year 1894. So he knew that I have come in the year 1894, and I got the opportunity to buy 2 tickets, and I could go anywhere in the United States, me and my wife. And I wanted 2 tickets to Galesburg, Illinois. What is Galesburg? Now Galesburg is the place where he used to stay with his grandfather in his childhood days. Actually, he had spent his childhood days in Galesburg, and he had heard lots of stories about Galesburg from his granddad, and he had heard from his grandfather about Galesburg. So readily he made up his mind that as he was sure that he had come to that place and it was 56, 57 years ago, so he just made up his mind that he would buy 2 tickets because he wanted to go to Galesburg in the year 1894. He wanted to know that how Galesburg was in the year 1894. Have you ever been there? Now, actually, he is telling about Galesburg. Charlie was giving information about Galesburg to us, to the readers. Have you ever been there? As if he was asking this question. It's a wonderful town still, with big old frame houses, huge lawns, and tremendous trees whose branches meet overhead and roof the streets. Actually, he had heard all this from his grandfather, and as I told, he was there in Galesburg in his childhood days as well. So he told that it's a wonderful town still means in 1950 it is still wonderful, so it must be wonderful in 1894 as well. Okay, let's check that why my voice is not clear. I don't know why it is going on. Hello, now I feel the problem should be solved, or might be solved. Hello, is it not clear again? Is it not clear again? Should be clear. Okay. Now, actually, he knew and he wanted to go to Galesburg in the year 1894 as he got this opportunity. And he was telling that summer evenings were twice as long, and people sat out on their lawns, and men smoking cigarettes and talking quietly. Now, I have a question to you. Do you feel that in 1894 summer evenings was twice as long? Is it, will it be possible, geographically will it be possible, practically, that in 1950, the length of the summer evening was less than the length of the summer evening in 1894. No, actually what he wants to tell, that the summer evening was larger means that people in that time, they had lots of leisure time that this time. Evening time is considered somehow a leisure time because people come home in the evening and they take rest, they spend their leisure time. Here Charlie told that Charlie told that summer evenings were twice as long, and people sat on their lawns, and the men smoking cigarettes and talking quietly, the women waving palm leaf fans with fireflies all around in a peaceful world. In a peaceful world. Actually, Charlie was telling that in the past days in 1894, people had lots of leisure time than they had at present in 1950, and that means that they had twice long summer evening. Twice long summer evening. Actually, practically it doesn't mean. If you go with the time span, then it appears very strange to us. How it is possible that earlier summer evenings were twice, and now if the evening for the summer duration is for 1 hour evening or 2 hours evening, last day how it could be of 4 hours? No, actually it tells about the leisure time. There people had lots of leisure time. They used to spend the evening, and that is why it's known as summer evening, where twice as they had. And people used to live there. They used to gossip quietly. The women used to sit and having palm leaf, the waving palm leaves with fireflies all around, and it was definitely a peaceful world. To be back there with the First World War still 20 years off, and World War II over 40 years in the future, I wanted 2 tickets for that. What Charlie's psychiatrist friend has told him, that he had been oppressed because of this present world, because the present world is full of insecurity, war and fear. Now Charlie was thinking that 1894, where First World War was still First World War, to be back with the First World War was still 20 years off. Yes, First World War was in 1914, and it was and the time was 1894. So still 20 years to go for the First World War, and Second World War more than 40 years in future. Yes, Second World War started in 1839, and the time was 1894. So people after at the time I am talking about, it was just 1950 means after Second World War. So people were very much afraid of war. So Charlie thought that whenever I got the opportunity to go to Galesburg, in a time when actually it was much before of that 2 World War, First World War and Second World War. So I really wanted to enjoy the peaceful world of Galesburg in 1894. Understand? And that is the reason that he made up his mind quickly. I wanted 2 tickets for that. He told, I wanted 2 tickets for that. The clerk figured the fare. He glanced at my fancy headband, and he figured the fare, and I had enough for 2 coach tickets one way. Now the clerk noticed when he had taken the currency, the money to buy 2 tickets. The clerk noticed, okay, the fare. He glanced at my fancy headband, and the clerk who was giving this ticket in the platform, he was looking at the fancy headband of Charlie. Why not? Because this headband did not there in that time, because Charlie belonged to 1950, and he had gone to 1894, as I told, that 57 years back. So his dress was so modern, and this modern dress, the modern headband, were not there in those past days. So the clerk who was giving that ticket, he was very much surprised, and he was looking, with his wonder at the headband of Charlie. And I had enough for 2 coach tickets one way, and he was telling that I wanted 2 coach tickets one way. This is important, one way. If you are going to buy 2 tickets, then you must think about your return ticket as well, because if you are going somewhere, you want to come back again. But Charlie told that I only bother about that I feel that I am having enough money to buy 2 tickets one way. Means he really doesn't want to come back to this practical life in 1950, as if he wants to go to Galesburg in the year 1894 and wants to live there, wants to lead a peaceful life there. And that is why he told one way. But when I counted out the money and looked up, the clerk was staring at me. So when Charlie was counting the money, he was about to buy the ticket. He was about to buy the ticket. Then I counted out the money and looked up. The clerk was staring at me, and the clerk who was selling the ticket, he was staring at Charlie. He nodded at the bills. Here, bills means currency. When Charlie was giving this, money for buying the ticket, he nodded. he nodded. The man who was sitting in that counter. That are not money, mister, he said. He told, that are not money, mister, he said. And if you are trying to scheme me, means if you are trying to cheat me, you wouldn't get very far. Why the man in the counter told this? Because Charlie was giving the currency of 1950s and the man was sitting in 1894. So the currency of 1894 and 1950s was not same. But Charlie had the currency of modern time, and the clerk, that is why the clerk denied it, that these are not the money. And not only that, he threatened Charlie that if you want to cheat me, you can't go further. You wouldn't get very far. That Charlie told. That man told to Charlie. He threatened him that these are not the money. Yes, these are not the money, because these money actually, these are the currency of 1950 and the time was 1894. And he glanced at the cash drawer beside him, and the man looked at the cash drawer. Of course, the money was old style bills, half again as big as the money we use nowadays, and different looking. Charlie also saw the currency and he was surprised. Yes, this currency was the currency of older days, and older bills was old style bills. Bills means currency, these are older times. Half again as big as, it means 50% greater. Half again as big as means 50% greater. This currency, the value and the size as well, was 50% greater than the value of the present time currency. Yes, we know these are not an inflation rate. People know that. That is, the currency remains the same, but the value starts to decrease day by day as we go together. Yes, if you take the example, the 10 rupees note, the value of 10 rupees, the note will be the same for for next 20 years, 15 years, but the value will not. And that is why that is told that half again as big as the money that we use nowadays. And different looking, and the note was also different looking. It was greater than the size. He was telling about the size, that in size these notes were 50% greater than the currency, than the note of today's time. I turned away and got out fast, and as soon as Charlie realized that as I have come in the year 1894 having the currency of 1950, this currency is not going to be accepted in this time. So and already the man threatened him that he could not go farther if you want to cheat me. So Charlie did not want to take any risk. He just turned away and got out first. He started to run from there. There is nothing nice about jail. Even in 1894, Charlie told there is nothing about jail, because he did not want to go to jail. Because if the man calls the police, then it would be tough for Charlie, because nobody would believe that he had come from the time 1950 and all this. So Charlie did not want to take any risk. He just ran from there. And that was that. Charlie told that was that. That was the experience. Means I had this experience, and the experience really, and this was the last experience as well. I left the same way I came. I suppose he told, probably I came to the same way with the same corridor that I had went in there. Next day, during lunch hour, I drew $300 out of the bank, nearly all we had, and brought old style currency. That really worried my psychiatrist friend. Now next day what he did, he went to office in the lunch time. He came out and he went to a coins dealer from where we could change the currency. We could buy the old currency. He went to a coins dealer, and there he just and brought old style currency. He first thing after coming out in the lunch time next day from his office, he came out from in the lunch time and he had withdrawn $300 from his bank account, and then went to a coins dealer nearly we had and brought old style currency. And old time currency, because really he wanted to buy the tickets of Goldsberg in the year 1894. You can buy old money at almost any coin dealers, but you have to pay a premium. Here premium means price. Charlie told that you can buy this old kind currency, old type of currency from anywhere, from any coins dealer, but for this you will have to give a price. My $300 brought less than 200 in old style bills, but I didn't care. He told, and that is that is the point that I wanted to tell, that the value, as the day will progress, the value will start decrease. So he had given $300 of currency of 1950, and he was able to buy less than $200 currency of year 1894. But he did not bother. Eggs were 13 cents a dozen in 1894. Where he knew eggs were 13 cents a dozen in 1894. 100 cents equals to $1. 100 cents equals to $1. So he knew that eggs were 13 cents a dozen in 1894. Yes, he got less than $200 of currency, old type currency, but still, livelihood was much easier in the year 1894. It was not so costly. But I have never again found the corridor that led to the third level at Grand Central, although I have tried often enough. After changing the currency, again he went to the second level of Grand Central railway station to find out the corridor that actually led him to the third level, because he was very much eager to go to Galsburg, but all in a vain. He told that at Grand Central Station, although I have tried often enough, he had tried many times to find it. He had went probably for last few days, next few days he went there, but he could not find the corridor that actually had led him to the third level. Louisa was pretty worried when I told her all this, and didn't want me to look for the third level anymore, and after a while I stopped. So actually Charlie had told everything to Louisa, his wife, and Louisa was very much worried what I was doing, and Louisa proposed me to stop all this. Still Charlie tried to find out the corridor that actually led him to the third level, but he was unsuccessful, and after a while he himself stopped searching this corridor. I went back to my stamps, and now he came back to his stamp collecting hobby. He had this hobby, but now we are both looking every weekend, because now we have proof that the third level is still there. And now he told that as he went back to his stamp collecting hobby, now at present he actually Charlie is telling that I'm having that proof that third level is there, and I kept on searching this third level. My friend Sam Winner disappeared. Charlie told that I heard my friend Sam Winner disappeared. Nobody knew where, but one sort of suspected. But I sort of suspected, because Sam is a city boy, and I used to tell him about Galsburg. I went to school there, and he always said he liked the sound of the place. Now it happened that his friend disappeared, but he suspected that Sam might have gone to third level, might have gone to Galsburg in the year 1894, because Sam was a city boy, and Charlie had told him all about Galsburg, that how Galsburg was, how he used to go to the school in the Galsburg in his past days, and he always said he liked the sound of the place, and Sam actually used to appreciate the place Galsburg, hearing from Charlie, and that's where he is, all right, in 1894. And Charlie is telling, I'm confirmed that Sam has gone to that place in 1894 in Galsburg. How it was possible? Really, do you think had the friend really gone to Galsburg in 1894? We will see next day. Today it's time up. So up to this we have completed. I hope you have understood.